In this video, I'm going to take the chord progression with melody that we created in the previous video and show you how we can embellish it so that there's a little bit more balance between the melody, which is quite busy, as you can see, and the chords underneath, which are rather static, falling on all the quarter beats. So first of all, let's listen to it, and then we can compare the initial state to the final result after the embellishments have been added. Okay, so one of the first things we can do is to place passing notes between two notes that are close together, usually a third or sometimes a fourth apart. And right away I can see that in the bass we have a C going to an A. So this would be a perfect place to insert a passing note, a B. So if I split the C into 2/8 notes and move that down to a B, we have a perfect passing chord here. So that B actually creates a new chord, an E minor in second inversion. So it makes the harmonic progression more interesting. And then as we move on, there's another idea that we can apply, which is that of using suspensions. And those occur when you have a note in the chord which drops by one step to the next note in the next chord. And here we have that occurring here with the C in this chord moving to the B in this chord. So what we can do is we can actually suspend the resolution of that C to the B by an eighth note. And to do that, we will split this B into 2/8 notes and move the B up to a C and then tie it over to the previous C. So now the resolution will be suspended by an eighth. So it sounds like this. Good. So that's another thing we did, and we could continue to add some embellishment to the tenor, in this case by splitting the C into 2/8 notes and mimic the motion of the melody. So the melody is moving down a step. Let's move the tenor down a step. So it creates this parallel motion between tenor and soprano. And we have these tenths, C, E, going to B, D, which sounds nice. And then that all resolves on the next chord. Now moving forward, here we can see another potential for a passing note between the A and the C in the bass, but we'd have to remove that tie first and then move that 16th note A up to the B. So now we have a passing note which creates a rising motif, which is actually moving in contrary motion to the melody. So that's also a good thing to do when you can create contrary motion between two parts. That's a very effective device. We resolve to this, and I can see another potential for passing notes between the G and the B. We can add a 16th note right there, and again we create parallel octaves from here, G, B, going up to B, D. And one last thing we can do is to add some ornamentation. One of the parts that hasn't moved very much is the alto. So we could add a little bit of ornamentation to the alto. For example, here, this F, rather than just have it stay as a quarter note, we can make it move up to the note above, just for the value of a 16th, and then back down to the F. So that's called ornamentation. And we have a much better progression. Let's have a listen to it. So by embellishing the voices below the melody line, we've also achieved another purpose, which is to create a more interesting part for the alto and tenor and bass to sing. So for example, if we just listen to the bass line, that'll sound like this. Or the tenor will sound like this. And the alto. So we've achieved two goals. One is to enrich the harmonies that accompany the melody, and the other is to create more interesting lines for the individual parts to sing. So that concludes the 3 videos on how to create a good chord progression, how to add a melody on top of the chord progression, making adjustments to the chords, and finally how to add embellishments to the inner parts using ornamentations, passing notes, suspensions, etc. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.